Humanity sets the agenda.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is exactly 8:56 a.m. We are continuing with our interviews this morning, news and views right here on Salam Media. And next online is criminal law expert William Booth. He is here to talk to us about the Hello Darlings swindler, Tasneem Musa, and of course other such Ponzi schemes that has been playing out in the country, ongoing from time to time. Let's look at the issues around the people that were swindled, the victims of this scam, how they can move forward, because I have just heard and saw a clip of the swindler, that is Tasneem Musa, who gave an exclusive to the Lodium, I think it was a TV interview, to a Lodium TV station. I can't remember their names. And she kind of came off almost as the victim rather than the swindler. But let's talk to the expert. William Booth, a very good morning to you. Thank you indeed for being with us on the show this morning. William, are you there? All right, we are trying to connect with William. The line seems to be a little problematic. Imagine in this day and age, we in the fourth industrial revolution, we talk about all forms of sophisticated technology. And I kind of ask myself from time to time when I battle to connect with our guests. So we have lines where you have bad connections on on your cell phone or on your landline, and I then question, goodness me, we are so far advanced as far as technology is concerned. How come we have this problem with connecting with people on the telephone? This should have been sorted out way back, where we have absolutely clear, crystal clear telephone and cell phone lines. Am I asking too much? No, I don't think so. Technology is way too advanced for us to still be having these sort of problems. And don't even blame Eskom, because I don't think it's Eskom's fault in this situation. I don't think Eskom has got anything to do with it. It's just really, I think it's issues of connectivity. And I think the cell phone operators need to come on board and explain to us why this happens. Okay, let's put that issue aside for now, and let's talk with William Booth. William, a very good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Thank you indeed for your time to talk to us about these issues. We do value your expertise. I understand you are a criminal law expert. Undoubtedly, you have also picked up on this story. Over 200 of cases of fraud or criminality, call it what you will, with this Hello Darling CEO, Tasneem Musa. At the outset, what do you make of it?
Well, what I would like to say that there have been a great number of similar incidents where people are targeted and they're requested for payment, as the person says, well, they're going to disclose personal information about them. So they seem to be able to access their phone records, WhatsApp messages, even SMSs, and computer emails, and then start targeting certain people and saying, well, if you do not pay, we are going to disclose certain personal information. And people have ended up being threatened like that and ended up, in fact, paying Some of the people who have been targeted then eventually will go to a lawyer, and then the phone calls are checked up forensically, and it is seen, well, this is a syndicate operating. In some instances, they state they're part of some or other gang, and that they are going to be causing harm to the person or to their family. So it is really becoming, over the last while, common practice throughout South Africa, and it is sometimes very difficult to try and apprehend the perpetrator. So there's a lot of legislation dealing with cyber crimes. There's a Cyber Crimes Act that has now been promulgated, various other legislation. But what often happens is the person who's being targeted becomes, panic stricken and will make payment. And, and that constantly carries on. So please pay X amount, otherwise we're going to tell your family about certain information we have. And in many instances, it's false information. And then they pay, and then they'll get another message, pay again, otherwise we're going to be coming to your home or threatening your wife or your children.
All right.
Causing
William,
harm.
That is the situation of blackmail, right? The situation that I'm wanting to focus on this morning is a scam by a particular person by the name of Tasneem Musa. She is the CEO of a travel agency called Hello Darlings. And it seems over the past couple of months, it could have been between 3 to 6 months, she has been offering low-cost holiday packages, possibly too good to be true, unmatched. I understand from the few people that I've spoken with, is that she was offering really brilliant deals on overseas holidays, like to destinations, to the Maldives and to Mauritius and other such exotic places. What has subsequently happened is the first lot of holiday makers, in fact, went on the holidays, came back and haven't stopped raving about it, including social influencers. That lot of people, the influencers, were given a further cut rate holidays or freebies to continue then promoting this woman's product, which is obviously Hello Darlings exotic overseas holidays. So, and then in the interim, lots of people then jumped onto the bandwagon and they booked holidays with her. And as you and I speak this morning, over 200, between 200 to 400 South Africans have been scammed via this holiday package deal to the tune of about 100 million rands. The said person, Tasneem Musa, is in hiding. Certain people believe she's either in Dubai or in Turkey. Other people believe she is in hiding in South Africa. She subsequently came on air yesterday on a community radio, a community TV station in Lodium in Pretoria or Tshwane, and she defended herself. She has also put out a communication apologizing to her victims, saying that this happened all due to a very bad business practice on her side, and she's now placing herself under liquidation. Obviously, the victims are outraged. So I think certain victims made threats against her and her family and her children. In her communication, her written and her TV communication yesterday, she had suggested that people who have threatened the lives, who have threatened her and her children, she's going to be taking legal action against them. So she seems to be turning the tables on her victims. And the three key questions I have for you, William, today is, if she places herself under liquidation, does she then protect herself against criminal charges? Because I understand as we speak, a the victims want to get together and they want to place a class action against her, bring a class
Yes.
action against her. So do they have any leg to stand on if she places herself under liquidation? And what about the counter charges that she wants to bring against these to her alleged victims? So can you respond to all of that?
Right. Look, obviously, these kind of scams have been happening just as regularly as the ones I referred to a few moments ago, where people, pretend relating to air flights, or in fact even purchase and selling properties which don't exist, and people get scammed, and you have all these kind of Ponzi schemes where people then get paid back, and then gets to a point where the person hasn't got any money to pay back. So, yes, criminal charges can be laid. The fact that she applies to be placed under liquidation is a whole process. She has to go to court, bring that application, and obviously a court will make that decision. But the criminal case can run together with any civil matter. So the victims have a civil claim for damages, the money they obviously lost. And if she places herself under liquidation, then they will have claims, but then again, is there any money to repay the victims? But the criminal case is something different. There she could face charges of fraud, and various and theft, and that has to be investigated by the police. Docket is opened, and that's referred to the NPA for a decision as to whether to prosecute her or not. And that also now, the added thing is that you say, well, she might be out of the country. So, if she's out of the country, that makes it even more difficult to have her arrested. But, there's a process where she can, even if she's out of the country, be brought back for trial in South Africa. Then charges that she might lay, well, the police have to investigate those as well. So I'm not sure if those are, charges of theft or assault or, attempted assault. But if she's laid a charge, the police would have to look at it and decide whether there's any merit in those kinds of charges. But my view is they're probably going to regard the cases that the victims have in a far, far more serious light because of the amount of money that has been, lost.
So let me ask this question again in a slightly different way, because I'm just trying to understand the legal intricacies around it. If she's placed under liquidation, and they obviously, because there's no money because this is what she stated herself,
Yes.
there's no money to pay out. So that matter is investigated and dealt with. Can her victims still, even though she's been liquidated and there's no money to pay out to them, can they still bring a case of fraud and theft against her? And can she still face the law as far as those charges are concerned? I guess criminal intent will have to be proved. This class action will have to prove that she sought out intentionally to defraud and steal people's money.
Yes, absolutely. So as I said, the criminal matter is obviously linked, but it's different. So if there's a civil claim and she is placed under liquidation, then the court will have to appoint a person to administer her estate and look at repaying the victims. And, there may be no money, so they will not get any money back. The criminal matter is theft and fraud, and that is separate. So even though she doesn't have any money, she can still be, if there's evidence to that effect, prosecuted in criminal courts for crimes of theft and fraud. And the victims would then have to, as I've said, lay criminal charges with the police, which is investigated, and the docket is handed over to the prosecuting authorities for a decision as to what to prosecute her on and the amounts involved. So even if she's got no money, and even if she's placed under some form of control by the courts as to herself and her business with regard to, liquidation and all of that. There's criminal cases that will proceed if there's sufficient evidence to sustain them. So hopefully that answers your question, so that the victims don't then just lose out. They might lose out financially if there is no money, but then they have the recourse to the criminal courts, where if the amounts are large and the crime is serious enough, she could face, periods of direct imprisonment if convicted and and sentenced.
What sort of, and I know it's difficult to tell here because there'll be lots of mitigating evidence, etc., that will be put forth, lots to be taken into account, but thumbs-up figure, if she is found guilty for fraud and theft and misleading the public with the intent of stealing their money, what sort of terms can we be looking at? A jail term in this situation?
It could fall then within the minimum sentence laws, where you could have a minimum period of up to 15 years direct imprisonment. But that also depends on the mitigating factors. So if the amount is whatever you're saying the amount is, a couple,
about 100 million is the figure that's been bandied about.
Then, yes, if she's convicted, there is a very strong possibility of a lengthy period of direct imprisonment.
Because as I see it from all of the paperwork that I've been through and all of the interviews that I've been following, it doesn't seem as if there's any money left. Not sure if it was really due to very poor business practices. This does look, from the outset, it looks like she was operating a Ponzi scheme. I could be wrong, but this, from what I have looked into up to now, it does look like a Ponzi scheme. But be that as it may, what about social influencers? We know what their role is. They have blogs or whatever it is that they do on social media platforms. They then get freebies from different companies to promote the services or the products of the company. Can they be liable? Because a lot of them have come on air and have complained that fingers are being pointed at them as well, suggesting that they really painted a very rosy picture of the holiday packages by Hello Darlings. Can they be held liable, or are they just a middle party, or call it an advertising agency that benefited, from getting freebies from this woman?
Well, look, obviously, any advertising agency has got to do their work properly. They must investigate the background of the person asking them to advertise and not present false information to the public. So they may also have been conned, but on the other hand, they may have been part of the scheme. I don't know. I don't know what the evidence is and whether there's any evidence linking them to this person, as maybe acting as accomplices to paint this wonderful picture of the business. But on the other hand, I mean, if somebody is contacted, given all the information, they check it out and they think, well, actually, this is not a bad company. It's got good credentials, and therefore advertise, on behalf of the company. It might be very difficult to prove that they were in cahoots with this particular person. It depends on the evidence. So that's all got to be investigated. She's actually looking at quite an extensive criminal investigation and obviously also civil investigation in respect of any civil claims that the victims have. So, the police must check all this out. Everybody must go to them. They must question the people who are, placing these advertisements. But I think it's going to be quite difficult to link people who've advertised. But again, there's, advertising ombudsman and, can't just say anything you like online. That's been the problem. A lot of people say things online and which is incorrect. Information is false information. I mean, sometimes even the media are reporting without checking properly, and obviously, the media ombudsman must look at complaints if the media is not presenting the objective facts. So it's really going to be to me, it looks to be quite an extensive investigation. And, obviously the victims must come forward, they must lay criminal complaints and give as much information as they can to the police.
And obviously this is going to be a long drawn out case, because there's lots.
Yes.
Lots of people involved, between 200 to 400 people that have been scammed. And just taking a step back, when we talk about the advertising, you are correct. It is not structured advertising via advertising companies, legit advertising companies. This was just online social influencers that promoted this product, because they then got discounted overseas holidays or free overseas holidays. And when you get a free lunch, you have to pay for it by speaking very highly about the product that you've just consumed. Be that as it may, moving forward then, William, how do we as consumers protect ourselves? What is it that we need to do when we come across a product or a service that is being offered at a good price? And how do we ensure that we're not being scammed, that we're not being roped into a Ponzi scheme, or if our money is not going to be lost through a devious operator?
Well, I think one must investigate. So it's the same as if you asked to invest large sums of money and that you are promised amazing interest rates, which are, beyond what is there, out in the marketplace. So you need to then check up on that. So, something like this, maybe you must phone a reputable travel agent and check it out with them. Or if you've been asked to invest money, then you must speak to a reputable investment company to make sure that this is not a Ponzi scheme and you're not being ripped off. So, people are told, well, you've just run, the football pools in the United Kingdom. Meanwhile,
yes, I get that all the time. I just delete them off my phone.
Yes, people fall for that. So, people think they're going to make all this money, but, quick, rich isn't always the way to go. So you have to be, very cautious and report it as well to maybe the police, but you need to check out the facts before you pay over any money, or before you kind of start going on these wonderful holidays, which when you arrive at the place, there's actually, there's no holiday there at all. And it's, not a particularly wonderful place, but you paid out a lot of money. You need to check it out. And people, are quite, they become vulnerable because they think it's a great scheme that's promised.
And sadly, in the case, sadly, in the case of this Hello Darling scam, these poor people haven't even taken off, never mind getting to their destination and finding that they haven't been booked in, or they've been booked into a very low grade accommodation. But be that as it may, I guess the good news that you're leaving us with this morning is that even though Tasneem Musa places herself under liquidation and there's no money to pay out to the people that she has scammed, they can then go ahead and file criminal charges against her, charges of fraud and theft, and then she's going to have to answer to that. So thank you for your insights on this, William Booth, criminal law expert. We value your time. Thank you once again, and have a good day.
Thank you very much. Nice chatting to you.
Likewise. 9:20 exactly, news and views right here on Salam Media.